With creative teaching methods, career readiness programs, and immense funding, charter schools have been the catalyst for academic success for many students. However, some may say this may be at the expense of public school students. Taylor Monserrate spoke with three individuals about their experience with attending both types of institutions. I'm sitting in one of the reserved study rooms on my college campus as I wait for Genesis Ramos to connect to our Zoom meeting. She is a senior at Baruch College. Before that, she attended public schools up until grade 8, when she decided to go to Mesa Charter High School in Brooklyn.
Coming from public school before going into charter schools provide a lot of opportunities that public schools don't due to funding. So again, if it weren't for COVID, I would have experienced a lot of things that a public school wouldn't have let me experience. An example could be that they provided me with being able to get into a program to go to Italy for a culinary school for a month.
She believes that attending a charter middle school instead of a public one would have prepared her more for high school. Public schools are funded primarily by local property taxes, state and federal funds. They are operated by local school districts and governed by elected school boards. Charter schools are independently run, but publicly funded. They operate under a contract granted by a state or district, giving them more autonomy in exchange for accountability.
A lot of charter middle schools already give students regents versus the public one that I went to didn't. So I felt like I could have been more advanced in high school if I went to a charter middle school.
Genesis is also currently employed at the high school she attended. As an employee, she has seen the tensions between high performing charter schools looking to expand and public schools worried about displacement. Both of the schools currently reside in the same building, with the public school having increasingly lost space since the opening of Mesa Charter High in 2013.
We had protests from the middle school about not being able to expand because they were afraid that they would be shut down if Mesa were to open a middle school. But at the end of the day, there is some kind of rivalry because they are sort of in competition. You know, if a parent hears more things about a charter school, then why would they send their kid to a public school, you know? And I feel like that causes tension in the building when you're sharing it because sometimes you hear bad things coming from even the staff members from the public school about the charter school.
Due to these protests from the adjacent public school, Mesa Charter was denied expansion in terms of opening a middle school. They still continue to search for more space in different academic institutions, however. Sebastian Rosero, 16, was a public school student at PSIS 377 who experienced displacement when he was forced to change middle schools when Achievement First Charter School, who shared the same building, decided to expand. He is currently a junior at Mesa Charter High School.
But I remember a lot of my classmates were very like upset with this, and they felt that like we were like being mistreated in a way where it's like we were a lot of our stuff was taken away. And then I started noticing also that like as the years went on, we got less and less floors. Like I remember we used to be able to go to the third floor, I think, but then we got restricted to just the first floor.
He empathizes with students nationwide who have been forced to go through the process of finding a new school and leaving their old one behind.
I do not think it's fair. I feel like if if there's like a huge community in which they feel like they love their school and they know that it can get better, then I feel like charter schools should be like able to find places where they don't have to necessarily take over other buildings. I mean, other schools.
A leading source of struggle in the traditional public school system is a chronic lack of financial resources. The limitation results in lower educational outcomes by limiting educators' access to materials and creating overcrowded classrooms. This struggle has been exacerbated by charters. Increasing charter enrollment causes a direct decrease in funds allocated for public school funding as it is based on student attendance. When a student leaves their public school for a charter based option, their state funding follows them. For parents like Antonio Hernandez, the pros of charter school are clear.
Traditional public schools were great while I was growing up, but they've actually fallen off for many, many years. And the charter schools from what I've researched and my interview with them, promised that my son would get a better education.
Antonio believes that the charter school his son attended helped him further improve and flourish within his academics.
His grades have always been good, but they've been exceptional in the charter schools.
Antonio recommends charter schools to other parents who are deciding where to enroll their children into.
I have yet to find out about a child who has not done well or better in charter schools than they would have done in public schools.
New York State remains one of the highest performing states in regards to charter school performance. As of 2025, there are 281 charter schools in New York City serving about 149,000 students, with the spread of charter schools continuing to rise. For Baruch College, this is Taylor Monserrate.